Look good. Can you see that now? We're all in?
Yeah, we're good to go.
Okay,
Hey,
all
this
right.
is Dan McDonald, and I have a very special show for you today at the Woodstock Fruit Festival here. I have Janet and Alan. What's your last name?
Murray?
Murray?
Yep.
This is an incredible story, so hold on to your seats here, because you've done something that no other human beings have ever done in the history of mankind, and you did it on a raw vegan diet.
Yeah, that's the big thing. 100% raw fruit and vegetables.
Nice.
Yep.
So you ran a marathon every single day all the way around Australia.
Yes.
We did.
How many days did that take?
Took us exactly a year, 365 days. And then we did one extra day just for the record, just to be sure.
The record meaning, so somebody else
world
ran,
Not around Australia.
but somebody else in the world ran a
Consecutive.
marathon every day for a year?
Yeah, that's what we
Not
believe.
exactly. Consecutively. which is
Every
not necessarily
single
every
day.
Yeah,
So make sure you know what I'm saying here. Every single day for 366 days,
that's right, that's correct.
you ran a 26-mile marathon.
Yep, we did that.
At least.
On a raw vegan diet.
Yep, and just to give an idea of how far that is, that would be like running from New York to LA, back to New York twice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
Now, you've biked across.
yeah, I
You know
biked
how far
across
that is.
once. So you're talking about running from LA
yeah,
to New York,
yeah.
back to LA, and then back to New York,
And back to LA.
and then back. So 5.
So,
No, back to New York.
Well,
New York, yeah.
yeah.
Wow,
Four
that's a
miles,
lot
yeah.
of running.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What was your main source of food?
lots of bananas. You can be sure they're a very staple diet for us, and they keep okay. So we had lots of bananas. Probably the next thing will be oranges, apples. When we came up the east coast here, there was up the east coast of Australia. There was lots of things: pineapples and papayas and pawpaw and
Or juicy fruit.
juicy fruit. So we did well there. Once we left the top here and we went across, once we left we started going west, things got a bit more tough. We had to stock up more. We had to eat more things, perhaps like cabbage and greens that will keep
Things
a
that
bit
would
longer.
keep long enough for us to get across there.
Yeah.
Because
So-
the stretches were
Yeah,
much
long.
further between.
That's right.
Amazing. So how old are you, Alan?
I'm going to be 70 next year.
70 next year,
65.
65. And not too long ago, you were actually experiencing a major health condition.
Yes, that's right. I was diagnosed with cancer when about 13 years ago. And I made some really conscious lifestyle choices right there and then, and started doing what I could to help the body to rejuvenate, because if I only had 6 months to live, I was going to spend it changing that prognosis. And here we are 13 years later, running a marathon a day, every day for a whole year, just as an example of what's possible on a conscious, raw, plant-based diet.
So not only did the raw vegan diet save your life, it actually brought you back to life.
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely.
Nothing-
Now you've
yeah.
done things that most, even the healthiest, youngest men don't even consider.
Right.
That's true.
That's
And,
amazing.
and you know, we were never injured. Like, we never had a running injury to speak of.
Can you tell us what you might attribute that to?
Definitely the diet. I think
Yeah.
there's nothing
Yeah.
short.
The
I mean,
recuperative
Yeah.
effects,
Recuperative
the
effects, yeah.
ability for the acids to be released
that's
much more
exactly
rapidly.
right. Yep.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah, and also the shoes that we were wearing, we were simulating being barefoot. So when you're barefoot, when you're walking and running barefoot, that's your natural way. So the body knows exactly what's going on and exactly what to do. And you're unlikely, unless you have an accident, to injure yourself by walking or running barefoot.
So the
So
Vibrams?
we wore these shoes that the 5-finger barefoot shoes, just to protect underneath our feet as we're running, because the surface in Australia, no matter what part of Australia you're in, there's a thorn or a stone, or it's very rough. Even on the road, it's very, very rough. And so we couldn't afford to be injured, because we had to run another marathon the next day. So that's why we wore these shoes, just to protect underfoot from that type of an injury. But from running point of view, we were running as if we were barefoot, and so we never had running injuries.
However, we did have a couple of falls, so they weren't really running injuries. They were just like all of a sudden we just fell down.
Just
Accidents. We tripped on things in the dark. Maybe
Tripping over things.
a couple of times we might have been a bit tired. And Jeanette had 2 serious falls, and I had 2 as well, serious ones.
Did you try to run mostly during the day, though?
We did, yeah.
Early in the morning.
But sometimes, you'd still find yourselves running at night, maybe?
No, it was more the other way around. We ran the first hour in the dark every morning because it gets extremely hot out there in the afternoon. So it was very important we were finished all of our running by 2:30 or 3 o'clock.
So when we talked earlier, you said you run an average maybe 6 miles a day. 6 hours.
6 hours.
6 hours,
running
that's right.
time.
But not all together. We'd do a couple of hours, take a break, have a smoothie,
And then get back out on the road. So essentially we were running the whole marathon, but taking breaks in between, as you do when you run a marathon, but we were keeping it at a pace that was sustainable for 366 of them consecutively. So, the injuries that we did sustain from falling, well, it's not the falling, it's the stopping at the other end that hurts. So we cracked ribs, and I pretty much broke my whole shoulder. The rotator cuff kind of went out of place a few times from falling on the same side. But we were able to keep going, and we were able to heal as we ran. So we never stopped for the injuries. We kept going. It was obviously a lot slower for the first few days after the injury. We didn't take any kind of painkillers or anything like that. We just strapped with the ribs. We just strapped them, and then let the body take care of the rest, and increase the amount of papaya or pineapple if it was available, because pineapple has the enzyme that's a really, really good fat. It's not only an antihistamine, but it's anti-inflammatory. So it helped to keep the inflammation down and the pain level down. And that was a help. So
was it mostly fruits and vegetables? Any nuts and seeds
Yeah.
along the way?
A small amount of nuts and seeds. We
very
had
small.
to be careful of our protein a little bit.
Right.
So that
You
would
didn't want
take
to
care of
build
that.
up any acids?
No,
Right.
that's right. So we just had some sunflower seeds, maybe some pumpkin seeds, some sesame seeds. That was pretty much it.
yeah,
And
and
we
some
did-
almonds sometimes, but we always soak them and activate them. So.
There you go. Now you're
Yeah.
talking like a couple of pros, you know what I mean?
That's right.
So
Yeah.
can you recall at any time where you thought you really felt the best, and what
Yeah.
foods might have been
yeah.
the best
Yeah.
for the human body?
I was just thinking that. For one thing, it's interesting that the last 100 marathons, the last 100 days, were much easier than the first 100 days. Except for the first 8 days, we were still sort of training. So we were a bit,
I know.
a bit
I
tight
get
the
it.
first few days. But yeah, the last 100 days were much easier. In
Yeah.
fact, we had some of our fastest times. We had a few 5-hour marathons on our last 100 days. And yeah, that's really to do with what we ate for sure.
And do
Yeah.
you recall what some of those foods were?
Well, interestingly enough, when we got to Perth, which is way over here, we've been struggling to get any sort of fruit, let alone organic fruit. We just had to take what we could get. But when we got to Perth, a nice couple sponsored us. They sponsored us for the rest of the way, and they were totally into organic food. So for the last, what was it, almost 100 days?
Yeah,
Almost the last 100 days, maybe that's why they were better. We had totally organic food,
everything was
100%.
They would go as far as they needed
they
to
were
get.
bringing the food
They
to
were bringing
us.
food,
It
they
was just phenomenal. Yeah.
They'd load up a van, drive it to us, and then
So
if we
it
ran,
was fresher.
Yep.
It was more
Yep.
nutrient
Yeah.
dense.
that's
yes,
right.
exactly.
And we
And-
noticed,
yeah.
we noticed the difference. Yeah.
And they, basically at that point we noticed the difference between, organic and non-organic pretty much, because we still were only getting the fruits and vegetables that were available seasonally in that area. So we didn't have a lot of tropical fruits, but the difference was phenomenal. We were finding it easier to run, like within about 2 days. It was, it was like night and
It was
day.
obvious, yeah.
It was really good, and where perhaps you might think we were going to be getting tireder because we've been going for longer, we actually were stronger and much, it was easier.
How long have you? When did you finish?
The 1st of January.
This
So
year.
actually 31st of
Okay.
December last year we finished. 1st of January we ran that
We
one
ran the
extra marathon.
mile, so to speak.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Great work. Are there any other highlights of the journey that you want to share, like crazy stories?
There's
we have one funny story. It was really hot. We were running up the east coast here, running over the Great Divide, which is about 2,400 meters. So it's not a huge mountain range, but steep enough. And it was 44 degrees. I believe that's 111 degrees. Please.
I'm going to hug you free.
No, you're not.
That might be good.
That one.
No,
that might be good.
I don't think I don't even know
No,
if
she didn't
knew.
know.
Oh.
No, she didn't know. So 111 degrees. That's apparently what 44 degrees Celsius is.
Yeah.
Extremely hot. A lot of the government workers had all gone home. They sent them home because it was too hot to work. And we're out there plodding up this mountain. This farmer comes along by with his tractor. He says, "What are you guys doing? You're absolutely crazy. You can't run in weather like this." We said, "Well, we told people you're going to run a marathon every day." He said, "Look, just get on the tractor, take it down to my farm, we'll go down by the river, we'll have a lovely barbecue." We thought that was a great idea, right?
You wanted to try to explain to him, you know.
Yeah, we just said,
Bobby's just not going to do it.
that's right. So that was a funny thing that happened. And
Yeah.
we had also another story is along here, along the bottom, is the Nullarbor Plain. So Nullarbor, null, it's Latin, so null means no and arbor means trees. So it means like the no tree plain. 27 days without a shop or anything.
Without a tree, and
Yeah.
it's a straight road.
And sometimes 4 days before you found a corner. Like it was sort of a real sort of mind trip,
It
you
was
know?
a mind
Wow,
trip.
so
Yeah.
there
Yeah, it
was
was
some
a real
things
challenge.
you went
Yeah.
psychologically.
That's
Yeah,
right.
just keeping
The
it
bends
going.
in the road keep things
Oh,
interesting.
yeah,
And
yeah.
they do, yeah. So
In
on
fact-
the straight, I mean, you could look one way, you could go out there and go, you look one way and look the other way, and as far as you can see into the horizon was this straight road.
Right. So
Nothing.
So sometimes we could see where we started and where we were going to finish, like
The
standing
full
in the middle.
marathon, you could see the full distance, and so for the whole run, it was like, here we go again. And a couple of times, to bring in a little humor for that one too, is that where our crew would go ahead, we had two people, two vehicles, and they were basically, one vehicle was towing a van that we slept in, and they slept in tents, and we stopped at the end of every run so that we could start again at that same point if that was possible. If it wasn't possible, they'd drive to where it was, and then in the morning they'd have to drive us back. So it was a continuous run. We made a mark on the road, so we were always continuously running. But sometimes they would have to go, and just to get the vehicle in the right place, we'd be turned around. So when we got there, we'd have our juice and our salad, and everybody get sorted out, break up camp, and we'd go to sleep. In the morning, we would get up in the dark at 4, and we would go out there. And several times we went out to the road and ran the wrong way. So
It's like,
in the dark, of course,
why-
we couldn't tell, until you could really get a grip on the stars. So we ran by the stars a lot. And
why is the Southern Cross
yeah,
there
and we
when
would
it should
look,
be there,
and
right?
we go like, oh, wait a minute. But sometimes we wouldn't be looking. So, we'd go out there, we'd just start running, we'd be do-do-do, talking away, and then I'd go like, wait a minute. What's the Southern Cross doing up there? And it's like, okay, we've just done 5K too much in the wrong direction.
Oops.
So
That doesn't
we'd have to
happen
come
often,
back.
but enough
It
to
happened
make...
a few times, so the crew thought that was very funny.
Wow, I
Yeah.
bet there's a million more stories.
There is, and I've actually put them into a book.
Oh, okay.
So we have a book, and it's called Running Out of Time. And it's based on the whole run, and based on that whole concept of running not out of time for what the decisions we need to make, but also running out of time, so making time non-existent in our lives.
nice.
And so it has a lot of, a little bit of, our thoughts and things that we learned on the road as well. And every single day there's an account of how, what we did that day, how we felt, what encounters we had, a few other extra ones, and some images from the road and some recipes from the road.
Cool. And so where can we find that?
Well, right here at Woodstock, we have the very first lot. So we've got the only ones that you can put in your hand. The rest of them are on a ship on the way to Australia, and so they'll be available online probably by September. But
Okay, so-
watch the website, and
Okay, what's the website?
it's runningrawaroundaustralia.com. So if you remember what we did, you'll remember the website,
runningrawaroundaustralia.com.
Yeah.
Very cool. This is an amazing story. Never been done before.
Well,
And so you guys are world record breakers, and you're also champions for the raw food diet to show people who have seen more sunsets that it's not a death sentence.
that's
That
exactly
you can
right.
keep on living if you keep on feeding yourself
Yeah.
food that feeds your body, your mind, and your spirit.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Right on. I'm so glad to
Good,
meet
Dan.
you and
Thank
have you
you.
on my channel. Everybody just has got to be stoked about this. I'm sure there's so much more, but the shorter the video, the more the views.
Right.
They can find out more about you on runningaroundaustralia.com, and it's amazing.
Raw around Australia.
Yeah, runningrawaroundaustralia.com, and just check out some more of the stories and anecdotes. A lot of stuff on the website.
Yes,
Yep.
and there's a lot coming up because we've been approached by a movie maker. We're going to be making a movie, a documentary that's going to go worldwide. We're taking it to as high as we can take it to the film festivals and into cinemas, so that really positive message encased in a beautiful film will go to the world and bring that really positive message home.
So it's like raw foods. It's like from cancer to like world champion, record breaker. It's beyond the stars, you know, creating your destiny, doing something that'll live forever.
Yes.
Kind of stuff. It's real life, raw food, living food. I mean,
That's
this
right.
is a prime example of the things that are seen every day.
Yeah.
People can put down the stuff that's just not really conducive to the human organism and start eating those foods that are alive and fresh and whole and life-giving and life-changing.
Yeah.
Amen. Great story. Thank you all so very much for giving this video a thumbs up. Share this video on your Facebook page. Share this video everywhere as much as you can, so that people can have a chance to have hope and be inspired to make a change, to start eating better, because it makes a huge difference in the quality of our lives. Thank you all so very much.
All right, thanks for having us. Yeah.
Peace.
Peace.
If that's